Recap, Family Reunion 2021. The excitement as the family of the Alliance came together. First agency manager dinner. What happens? A whole new, improved promotion schedule. Megan Wood gets up here and gets a new all-expense-paid trip because she's issue paid over $500 million in less than half of a year. And then she talks about how she did it. Then what do? We roll in the CEO of Integrity Marketing, Brian Adams. What's next? Unbelievable. Brian Tracy shows up. So people are bouncing off the walls. We think it can't get better. But Vanilla Ice, Rob Van Winkle, shows up. So he agrees to an interview. He comes back out with his whole music entourage. People knew the songs, they were breakdancing, and this is the first night. This is the first night, and people are losing it. What happens the next day? How do you top it? I got an idea. Let's give away $100,000 on stage to the people that brought the most organizations to the meeting. If you missed it and you want to be at the next one, I highly recommend you sign up quickly. We're going to invest heavy. We're going to go big. Family Reunion was incredible. Family, the friends, the association, the food, the education, and the entertainment. What kind of a package is that? National convention. Off the charts, baby. I will guarantee you. Come see it. See you then. World, watch. You're gonna see something you ain't never seen before. It's about ready to see what the Alliance can do, baby. Alaska, baby. The last great frontier. Maybe, I don't know. Alaska. It's cold up there, so I got my jacket on, and they got ice glaciers. We're going to cruise Alaska. It's not just a cruise, it's a journey. The ovation of the seas. We are going cruising. And where are we going while we're cruising in Alaska? Juneau. Yes, I know, it's Juneau. It is the largest capital in the United States of America. You're gonna see orcas, you're gonna see humpback whales, you're gonna see them sea dogs, you're gonna see the sea sails, you're gonna see everything up in Juneau, because Juneau. Have you ever been dog sledding? You get on the back of the sled. Or you're down like this right here. You like this right here.
Is this what we're going to hear Brian Tracy through? Is that what they're going to be listening to?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday Call Live!
Talk as loud as
Brought to you today from beautiful Burlington, North Carolina. Now, let's hear it for our host, our president and CEO, Andy Albright.
Expense-paid trip because she's issue paid over
Hello, team. What's up, Mr. Cat? What's up, partner?
And then she talks about how she did it. Then what
Marcus.
We roll in the CEO.
You looking good there, Bo?
Integrity Marketing, Brian Adams. What's next?
Sandy.
Unbelievable. Brian.
I think they're bringing on. Oh, but while he's getting on here, we're scheduling War Party Domination World Takeover meetings around the country. We're focusing on a few cities, and we're getting people in these cities. Mike Levenkovich, the 13th of St. Louis. Riddle is coming into Tampa. I know it's more than Riddle. Who else is coming? Blake, Brandon's going to be there. Mike Marisi, Brandon Manley, Adam Katz might be coming. That's the 14th in Tampa. All this is on the ARC, and it's on the private Facebook, and it's on WhatsApp. So we're trying to get the word out there. This communication thing seems to be a challenge with our company. AJ, the number one challenge I see for most companies is communication. Number two is communication. Number three is communication. Top three is communication. What's your name, Jordan?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you used to work?
At Harris Teeter Distribution.
Harris Teeter Distribution. That is a communication nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
It is.
Right?
It's all about communication.
But they have disasters there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you wonder how food gets out? What was you going to say?
I was at one wrong move and you just clash into somebody.
Does it happen all the time?
All the time.
All the time. Lack of communication. See, AJ? You think I don't know nothing, but I do. Communication. So communication. October 18th, Winston-Salem. Andy Riddle will be in, we've got all, it's the Courtyard. We're not going to do, Terry, we'll get too big for your office. It's going to be over there at the Courtyard. Albuquerque, Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be huge. Adam Cass is going to Atlanta. Somebody else is going to Atlanta. We need to list all of them.
Manley just signed up for Atlanta.
Brandon Manley's going to be there.
We got more people signing up.
Houston, Texas, to be determined. We already got another Tampa meeting set up October 31st. Denver's going to be huge. We had 65 people, and we gave them I think it was like a 35-minute warning. It was a short warning, and we're having a meeting, and they had 65 people show up. If we give this one's all the way. This next Denver meeting, it's like a month out. We ought to have October 21st, Denver. We ought to have 200 people there, October 21st.
Bell Krause will be there too. Bell Krause.
Oh, Bell Krause.
Marcus.
Wait, come on here. Tell them so I don't tell it.
Right, the 21st, Robbie Kraft, Nick Greco, Bell Krause, and Marcus Richardson will be in Denver.
Think about that. You ought to run an ad in there. You ought to get you a newspaper ad. Run it. I was just kidding. You ain't know what a newspaper ad is. You ain't never seen one. Huh? Do you? You know what one is? You ever seen one? Yeah. In the archives in the history museum. Is Brian Tracy going to join us?
Yes, sir. He's just not on yet.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure he's coming. I can handle it. I got something to say. I've got plenty to talk about with depth and selling. Hey, y'all should see the numbers. The last 3 months, just like this right here, in everything. I was looking at it. This morning. I was talking to Tim Godin, doing screenshots, sending everything, recruiting, sales, everything. And depth has been working. All right, so these meetings, we got some scheduled all the way out in November. November the 10th in Atlanta. I mean, this is going to be a war. That's why we're going to war. Bell Krause, you signing up for some of these?
Yes, sir.
I see you had a big week this past week.
It was good.
On the
We
submit.
had a lot of travel, and so just trying to fit it in between the travel.
Well, you did pretty good fitting it in between travel. You did better than 3,000 people. You're like top 6, even with the travel. We appreciate you going to these meetings and coaching people how to find the money. Phoenix, Arizona. We'll try to we'll put it up. We'll put it up on, and Robbie Kraft told me that we are going to have a site as simple to use as the ARC that'll let people know where all the meetings around the country. It would be like NAA hotspots, but better designed, easier to edit. He said it will be like the ARC for meetings. He said that's the best way. How ARC is, you can just click and find. It will be like the ARC for meetings. He said it should be up in the next, I think he said 2 weeks, but it might be 1 week. Tracy's not here. I got a couple people.
Andy, Brian Tracy, Missy said that he'll be on at 1 o'clock per usual, unless you guys discuss something different on Monday.
That is fantastic. I talked to him an hour on Monday about y'all, and it wasn't about the business. It was just about y'all, about you. And I made him talk about some other stuff. Not made him, but I asked him a question. And you know how you ask a person a question? So I got him talking, Bo. I got him fired up. I'm not going to tell you what we were talking about because I might fire y'all up prematurely, and that's not a good plan. We need to get it fired up at just the right time and get this meeting coming. So when he comes in here, when he gets on the set, we'll get him talking about it again. Megan Wood submitted 50 life applications this week.
Woo!
This week, wow. Jordan. I have people can't pay the lead bill.
Yeah.
I got people can't make the house payments.
Yeah.
I got people paying cash for cars.
Yeah.
I got little girls that you could pick up with one hand that got $27,000 cash in the bank.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? These people versus these people. The Bible said, And that's a long time ago. I don't know how many years ago was the Bible written?
A lot.
A lot. And it was written over a certain amount of time too.
Yeah, it was a long period of time.
A long period of time, but let's say when it started, back when the cat system stuff got started.
When the cat system.
Yeah. How long?
I'd say 5,000 years ago.
5,000 years ago, it says this. That's preacher. He got a PhD in something. What is it? Huh?
Theology.
Theology, which is religion and Bible and stuff. It says in there, there's always going to be poor people and always going to be rich people. Now, what it don't say is which one's which. Is this true?
Yes.
Nailed it. So if you try to get everybody to be the same, the Bible said that ain't going to work out because it just flip-flops. Okay? So I just try to figure out how to get in that group. Does that make sense? And really, it doesn't. The science of it, it don't matter. Megan Wood did 50 applications in a week for $30,000 out, and don't feel like nobody can do this because Robert Wilson did 13 for $23,000 in premium in a week. So let's put him on a 50% commission, which we don't have. He'd make $7,000. You said we don't have because the lowest is 55. So let's just say he's been here 7 years. Let's just say he's at least on 100. That's $23,000 in a week. Woo! When I first saw this, AJ, first I wanted to see the people. So when I saw the people, I was like, what? Because I thought they must be all geniuses and, really good looking. I'm not saying that Megan and Robert Wilson aren't the best looking people in the world. They are. But I looked at that group and I thought to myself, damn. You with me? Terry Edwards. That's what you was talking about in Greensboro, wasn't it?
That's right.
See if you can say it. Wait, let me tell you a couple more names, and then you say it a little differently because you're going to bring it from a different angle. You bring it from a Winston-Salem type slang. Janina, or Nina, as we call her, who escaped from the Black Forest of Germany.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
On a cruise ship, if you've ever been on a cruise ship, anytime you walk in and out, you see these people coming in and out with towels and stuff and cleaning it. That's what she did. No, she wasn't none of them. Terry?
Hell no. She can do what I can do.
I got crickets. I got Chris Long on the line going crickets. We're gonna keep talking about Chris. You want to talk about man. All right. That's all about. I just hung up with Matt Berman with Foresters. New CEO, new vice president. Matt's still there. More money for us to write more business. He wants me to take a few people up in November. So I'm looking at this October, November, December contest, and I'm thinking October we ought to determine who we can pick to go up to Canada and meet the new CEO and the new vice president. Okay? Megan Wood issued last week, meaning in the bank, 20,945, 47 apps. Joe Walker, 14,000. Hutchinson, 14,000. Rojas, 13,000. Yakey, 11,000. Karen Harding, 11,000. Robert Wilson, 10,300. Stephanie Rodriguez, 8,500. Nina issued 8,000. Michelle Lee got 8,000 with 11 apps. Michelle Lee, 8,000 with 11 apps. 2 months ago, she was struggling, didn't know if she could do it. Now she gets 11,000 issued in a week. That's big money, Bo. I'm sorry, 8,000. Jake and Foray Joseph, $8,000, 10 apps. And Abel Luna got 7 apps issued for 7,800. Leading the country with annuities. This new guy, Marcus Groute, Groute. I'm thinking that's a French name, Harry or something like that. Anyway, he got 259,000. Chelsea Andrews, y'all know who Chelsea? Y'all don't know who Chelsea. Chelsea is that guy who I contacted my taxi driver, and he wouldn't get his license because he says he's Canadian and he ain't sure if he can get his license. So he referred another guy to me who is like it's an interesting character, okay? And he's gun carrying dude and fighting dude, shows him how to fight all the time. And then he hired his girlfriend, Chelsea. That's who that is. Chelsea issued a $250,000 annuity. What's he talking about right there? Ain't nothing but money. Man, I gotta tell you, I got so much to tell y'all I ain't told y'all. Jeff Turner got 120 grand issued, and Cody Poirier got 101 grand, and Katrina Gustin 100 grand. Cody is one of them Nick Greco World Ventures. By the way, they are blowing up the World Ventures people. All right, can people see that, or is it just me can see that? That confuses me. I need a.
Everyone on YouTube can see it.
Okay. All right. Top 3 Foresters. If the Foresters thing was picking today, I'd pick Yakey, Becker, and Rojas because that's the top 3 producers this week. CVS would be CVS not running a contest. Now, did y'all know that 80% of the world? No, that's not true. 80% of the United States of America, 336 million people, 80% of them are within 20 miles of CVS store. So they all, you talk about, you've seen CVS store. If you just say, you've seen CVS store, because they're going to go, yeah, because we ain't running leaves out in the national forest. Okay, so the people who live out in the national forest, they ain't seen a CVS. I'm serious, you know what I'm saying? Like if they're anywhere, they've seen a CVS. Yeah. That's credibility right there, and that's the company that, I mean, that's credibility right there. I watch them every time. I take a picture when I go by. I go, we sell for them. Top 10 recruiters, Gus and Mercedes got 7 recruits, and Fitzgerald put in 4 recruits, and Riddle put in 3, and Avian put in 2, Mathis put in 2, Lampy put in 2. Brandy Nelson, y'all go hear about this lady, Eric and Brandy Nelson. I met her in Denver. She had like 10 people there, selling like crazy, printing money. They're hired by Joe Dukes, I think, Joseph Dukes. Yep. Actually, they're hired by Venus, but Joe gets the credit. So you got to love that. Lindar Cook recruited, Hartley recruited, and Oblinus recruited. So you can pull that down now so I can see my people again. All right. We're giving away, we're still doing a cruise. We had 2 new people qualify for the cruise, Michelle Lee. So that's Mike and Michelle Lee. If Michelle takes Mike, her husband, but I don't know. I guess she gets to be Mike and Michelle go on a cruise. So that's the last time. Is it Ed?
Yes. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Ed. Michelle and Ed. Ed Lee. Sorry about that, Ed. And Marty Dozier.
Good job, Marty.
Yeah, see, he used to call that Doggett. I was like, that is not Doggett, that is Dozier. And he was like, you're right, that is Dozier. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what it went down. Exactly. He's like, you know, that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. I said, that's how I know. If that's how we're supposed to, and it sounds cooler. We vote. What do you think sounds Doggett or Dozier? 100% right there. See, Marty? Good job, Marty. You've won the cruise. All right, and I'm guessing you're taking Diana. That's his wife. I know it because I'm reading it right here. Hunter, he's smoking, man. All right. We are still doing bonus points for all of Alaska. So this contest going forward. You know, Venus, you're my favorite person to have on the show watching because it just seems like you're paying attention and you get my funny. Other people, they no get. Okay, so we're giving away, so like you're brand new, right? Mm-hmm. So as you move up the bonus levels, we'll give away all kinds of, or the commission levels, we'll give away all kinds of bonuses. And sign up for the January National Convention and show up, and we'll give you 40,000 points for next year's trip. So a lot of people are going to win this year's trip because of the bonuses. You can look on here and see, you can see who's close because of the bonuses. That's okay, and then they can get bonuses for next year. Does that make sense? So I would just get the details on National Convention. Who's got the details on the National Convention in front of them? Adam Katz, Lou Abadi, Joe Dukes. Tell them about our National Convention coming up, Joseph Dukes.
Hey, there it is. Man, I got to tell you, I'm like beyond fired up right now. We got the 20th through the 23rd of January in Burlington, North Carolina. It is going to be like the most epic, the most epic convention we've ever had. We are going to have like more people are going to get those rings and the bigger rings like Andy's ring, it's going to look like an NFL convention. Like it's going to look like everyone went to the Super Bowl and came back with like a Super Bowl ring, because they are. I mean, I saw a list this morning, all these brand new agency managers. Oh my gosh, we're going to spend half the day Saturday just recognizing new agency managers and new board members and new, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. So I'm just fired up to be there and be part of the energy. Man, I'm going to get new rings. It's going to be a good time.
Eddie got one. Hey, Joe.
Sure.
Sometimes you make commitments and you wonder what you was thinking, or I told my friends there was a 95% chance that family reunion will be in Vegas. I said 95%. At first I did 90, but Brandon Manley pushed me and I went to 95. All right, so why is that important? Because the more people you get in January, the more people you're going to get in July.
Right. That's right.
And Joseph Dukes, tell them who's going to have the biggest businesses.
The biggest promoters, baby. The people who are talking about it every single time they're talking to a new person, every time they're talking to agents, every time they're asking, hey, have you got your national convention ticket yet? You go to alliancenationalconvention.com. It's $50 to sign up right now. Like Andy is going to cut that off and going to be like, hey, you're going to have to pay full price. In fact, we're going to overfill. Don't tell the fire marshal. Sorry, Andy. We are going to fill the convention center to maximum capacity in January, which means that we're going to have it in Vegas, Andy.
Well, that's true. So here's the way it works. Have you ever built a business before, AJ? Have you ever built a business before? Have you ever built this business before? What's your name? Nathan. Nathan, you ever built a business before? Here's the way it works. The more people, the more money. The more people under the tent. You ever built a church? Chris the preacher. You got a PhD in something. Theology. Which preachers makes the most money and changes the most lives and produces the most extraordinary? The little bitty churches with a little bit of few people, or the big churches with a lot of people?
Big churches with a lot of people.
And here's what people say. Well, of course they got more people baptized. They got a bigger church. Right. So why do you want a little church? I don't understand. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not complicated. But I'll ask people, hey, you've heard about the convention? No, ain't nobody told me about that. I go, what did they tell you about? They told me how I could make them money by selling insurance. Oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? You tell people the convention 20 through 23. Presidents of insurance companies, underwriters, the ultimate networking experience, music, concerts, partay. You see what I'm saying? But the first thing they tell them is, it's like, come on, Bo. You see what I'm saying? Now, it's not the first thing when you meet them if they're an Uber driver, but while you're talking to them, you might say, hey, by the way, you ought to mark 20th through 23rd. You say, the first time you ever talk to them, why not? Don't be scared. What if they say sure? You don't have to pressure them. Just mention it. Just throw it out there like bait right there. Joe, that right?
You daggum right. You got it.
Hey, I'm going to tell you.
The water, baby.
What's this?
That's they can scan that code and get a ticket to National Convention.
Oh, you can scan this code and get a ticket to National Convention. Here you go. Y'all pass them out. That's your National Convention information right there, the details. Hey, so top 25 CVS is Megan Wood, Mark Hutchinson, Rojas. Way to go. Is this the highest commission final expense product?
Yes.
And it's the highest renewal. I'm not saying Megan Wood is studying it and sells the highest commission with the highest renewals. I'm not saying she does that, but I'm saying she's number one in the country. And Mark Hutchinson is number 2, and Rojas is number 3, and Diana Castile. You-Bet's on here. Way to go, You-Bet Witherspoon. All right, so this contest, and then the top producers overall. This will all be awarded at National Convention. So we're going to give away $300,000 at National Convention. But I'm tell you what, there's money in this business. I'm not kidding you. I met a guy, I think it's this past week, been doing this for 61 years. God, he wouldn't tell us how much land he's got in Texas. There's money in this. Now listen to this. I'm going to tell you this, and you're brand new. You're fairly new. You new, Nathan? We've not had a failure in this business except when people give up and quit. Like every single person that stuck with it. You with me? Like Ariel. She's married to Rory. When she was in this business, she was struggling. She's scared of people. She's scared to go outdoors. She just had a fear problem. And shoot, you ought to see, she done married Rory, and they done won the trip, and they bought him a new house in Denver, Colorado. But I'm gonna tell you, they struggled, Tyler. You don't underestimate how they struggled, but they figured out how to do it. Here's how they do it: they kept trying and didn't quit.
That's right.
No, and then the money's just. He had his daddy. I can't remember all the health problems, but he was telling us his daddy had strokes. His mama died. Her daddy was crippled, and her mom was this, and that. It was a mess. And they started working 3 days a week and then taking care of them the other time, and were able to do that for a whole year and a half and pay all their bills. Now they're back full time and they're killing it. But I mean, it's just that kind of a business that if you want to do that. I, on the other hand, wanted to get rich. I didn't want to pay my bills. I don't know where you fit in. You might not. Everybody of course, no, you don't. Because most people, they say that, and then you get them making about $250. They sit down. I tell everybody that. But anybody that wants to can do this. And I'm talking at any level you want to do it. Okay, so Foresters competition, that's for real. I'll probably take like 3 couples with me that are killing it and love Foresters and their leaders. We don't want, we want leadership. And Matt Berman that just told me about the new CEO, he said he owes us a trip to Foresters. So we were going to have a trip, but then we had to cancel it because of COVID. So we may do it with this fourth quarter, take the top 10 people and take them up there. Whatever the promise was before, we'll make it this fourth quarter. I love the people that say, wait a minute, but I won it before. I go, yeah. And then how you're not selling Foresters anymore, it's going to be recent. Here's what people make fun of Tori, right? They say, is this a what have you done for me lately business? Yeah. That's the way my wife is. And that's the way the business is. I love her. I love this business. People go, I think we should get credit for what I did 4 years ago. I go, well, okay. We'll put you in the Hall of Fame. What's the Hall of Fame get you? The Hall of Fame don't pay nothing. You just get in there for what you did. But you're going to get paid, that's what you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I just can't retro stuff. People, that's the way life works. You understand what I'm saying? It's like if they won it 100, like a year ago, they don't get to go. The contest is fresh, who wins. So you can win it. All right, how are we doing on time? He's going to be on here in a minute. Let's see. Marcus Richardson, tell them about that meeting in Denver and estimate how many people we're going to have in Denver, and tell them about that contest you running against that Colin girl.
Yeah, so we're going to be in Denver over at my office. It's 2851 South Parker Road. We're going to be in the conference room downstairs, the lower level, Tower 1, and it's going to be with my main man, Mr. Robbie Kraft. It's just in my tower. It's the same 2851. It's just downstairs in the conference room and not upstairs at the office.
Is that October 21st?
That's October 21st, yep. And
October 21st.
Yes. And the conference room seats 60 people. And I well expect that we'll get 60 people. I sent it out to Nick, myself, and then I'm letting our team know about it. So
we'll put 120 people in there. Wear a T-shirt. It's going to be hot. You better. I'm not kidding, man. Look, you will put 120 people in there, bro. At least 100.
We are going to pack it out for sure. Yes.
Better get there early.
We had 65 people on a 15-minute notice. And Brandy didn't even have her mind right. She had like 10 people there. I bet you Brandy's going to have 30. And then you should bring in those people from Fort Collins or wherever it is. Where's your brother at? Where's he in school?
Grand Junction.
Yeah, you ought to bring them in from Grand Junction. If we flying out there freaking 50,000 miles and hours in the air, they can drive over there in an hour and a half from Victory Junction or wherever that place is. Which, you know,
Grand Junction.
People. Grand Junction, Victory Junction. You have 100. We're gonna have 100 people in there minimum.
Yeah,
Bill, you should go out there and see it, man. It's gonna be a show.
And then the contest that we have going on. So my buddy Charge likes to stir the pot. So we were at dinner with Andy, and he stirred the pot a little bit. So we are going up against Michelle's group for actual butts in seat at convention. And right now, last week, I love how you can check how many people actually have their conference ticket in your base shop, which is awesome to me. We had 15 tickets sold last week, and they had 6. So we're working on. I see Hartlip is waving his finger at me, but we're coming, bro.
Hey,
we're coming.
See for now. See where Marcus Richardson is. Pull it up on the arc.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna see where they are. Hey, Robbie, you listen to me. Yeah, Robbie said that website's gonna be badass. He's excited about it. What I need, Robbie, is how many people signed up under Marcus Richardson, how many under Michelle Colin? What's the bet, Marcus?
So the winner of the group has to fly. Whoever wins, the manager that loses has to fly to where you are and buy your whole team dinner.
So they're all gonna have to. All of them that bet, you gonna have to fly out to Denver and take y'all to dinner.
Yes, in January, in the snow, in the cold. So yes, yes.
I think I'm gonna say this again. I think we need to have some kind of a public display for the winner in January. Like, you see what I'm saying? So at convention, we should do. Y'all figure it out, a pie contest or a goo contest or some kind of contest. Robbie, would you work on that? You're really good at doing something visual.
Yeah, you are.
Tell me.
I said that's
Come
fine
here.
to me.
You said what?
You got people scrambling. I said the site is not going to be half-assed. It's going to be badass, and it's going to be January 1, and you said 2 weeks. So I got people in Maple like, what? What did you talk about this morning? I'm like,
I thought you said 2 weeks.
I said it'll be on a test server in 2 weeks.
Oh, the test server in 2 weeks. My bad.
It's going to be awesome when it comes out, but we don't want to half-butt it, you know.
Okay, good. I get it. That makes sense.
All right, cool.
So how many events?
I'm pulling it up.
It'll be a one-stop shop for all major events to purchase tickets, sign up for meetings. It'll take the place of that C-vent.
Yeah.
Where we have to make up. You'll be able to go in there.
It'll have the ARC feel. So if you're hosting a hotspot website, it'll have like a headshot.
Yeah.
And a 2 or 3 sentence like bio and all the meeting details. Tia Ray did most of the heavy lifting on the design part. So she gets a lot of credit if you like the way it looks.
I tell you what y'all should do, talking about headshots and pictures, you should get your headshot loaded up into the ARC. So when we look at your groups, we see a picture of you. Mr. Brian Tracy, we got a contest going, and we got to get these numbers up right. How quick you going to get them? Because we got the man Brian Tracy with.
So Marcus has got,
Marcus has
15 total.
15. How many does Colin have?
I think it's 7.
Michelle Colin.
Pull it up.
You think she got 7? Mm-hmm. She should double. They should get everybody to get 1. That'd be 14. And then just buy one random. She'd be tied. What is it? 8. 15 versus 8. Hartley, talk to these young people. The most people that come to, Brian Tracy tell you this, the most people, whoever has the most people coming to conventions makes the most money. Every business I've ever seen in my life, preaching, boxing, football, baseball, Amway, Melanoma, World Ventures, any one of them daggum cancer companies. The more people you get to the event, the more people win. Is that right, Mr. Tracy? I'm going to turn it up. Hey, listen, if y'all don't know this, Brian Tracy is Guy's books all over the world, millions sold. I just ordered, I'm trying to remember the name of it, Everything You Need. What was that? One Thing You Got to Know? God, I texted to Missy. He told me how many countries. My favorite book, it's in my top, my Bible's my favorite book. But my favorite book written by a human is, and God don't have credit, is Goals by Brian Tracy. And I even got a coin that's based on Brian Tracy. I ain't got it in my hand right now. I love this guy. And listen to this. I'm going to tell y'all this. I said, Brian Tracy, I want to go. I don't know if you remember this, Mr. Tracy. I said, I want to follow you to one of your missionary trips in China. He said, Andy, I don't think you could keep up with my work pace in China. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So he does missionary work all over the world, gave away millions. He gave away more money than most people in America have ever made. And that's cash. And then plus books and teaching and education. The most powerful thing he gives away is his knowledge. And he is getting ready to share that with us. I love him. He got a great family. He's a good man. Mr. Brian Tracy, talk to us, brother. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. I'm so happy that to hear all those wonderful things, and I even wish that they were true. But I have traveled now in 125 countries, and I've given seminars in 84 countries. There's a difference because giving a seminar is where they pay you, and the other places is where you travel. So I have traveled and been paid in a combination. Anyway, I've learned an enormous amount, and I've traveled in almost every country that you can get to. There are some countries, there's Burkina Faso, which is in Central Africa, which you can get to by river, but I haven't been there. So I'm really looking forward to sharing with you what we talked about earlier this week, is how can we help you? And what Andy said is the title should be Personal Life Strategy. Now, this is a title under which you can perform many sins because it's a semi-meaningless title. So I've decided that I want to teach you what I call strategies of self-made millionaires. Is how do you get from where you are to becoming a millionaire? And one of the things I've learned, let me go back. Some years ago, I decided to speak, and a month later, I got a call from a business owner, and he said, I have 800 people in my downline all over the country that are coming in for a conference, and they all want to become wealthy. Could you do a seminar for them on becoming a self-made millionaire? And I said, of course. When you're a speaker and you're starting off, you always say, of course, I specialize in that subject, because they only want to hire you if you specialize. So they say, yeah, of course I specialize. And I had 2 months to prepare. And when I hung up the phone, I realized I had been dreaming. I was 35, 36 at the time. I'd been fantasizing about becoming a millionaire all my life. From the time you're a teenager, this is a natural part of growing up in America. You dream of becoming a millionaire. And so all my life, I'd dreamed about becoming a millionaire, and I'd had a lot of money, and I'd had a little money, and I was rich, and I was broken. But I realized I didn't know anything about becoming a millionaire, but I had 2 months. And I found that you can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal that you set for yourself. It's a golden rule. So I started to study self-made millionaires, and I found that there was an enormous amount of research on them. There were books and studies. One study had spent 10 years interviewing 10,000 self-made millionaires. And what they found is that there's certain things are constant. Certain things are true for every one of them. So I began to study and read and put it all together. And when the day came, I got up and I gave a 1-hour seminar called The Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. And it got a standing ovation. Everybody liked it. And somebody else came up to me and said, "Can you give that talk for our company?" And I said, "Of course, I specialize in that subject." And so they booked me to do the talk in another company. And then it started to roll, company after company, all throughout Canada, and then the US, and then Europe and Asia. And the seminar expanded from 60 minutes to 90 minutes to half a day to a full day. And then I prepared workbooks and exercises and so on. And I actually began writing books around the subject of becoming wealthy. And what I found, most amazing thing, the more I taught how to become a self-made millionaire, the wealthier I became. I set a goal to be a millionaire by the time in 10 years, and I hit it in 5. And I set a goal to have $2 million in 5 more years, and I had 5 million. And now people say, "Well, how much are you worth?" And I refuse to answer. But if you go to Google, Google has really interesting information, and much of it's accurate. And the stuff that they write about me, the stuff they write about me on Google is accurate. So I have been able to accumulate a lot of money over time, and I began to share it with other people. So I put together a coaching program, and I started to bring business owners like yourself into my office, and they would come every 3 months for a full day. And then I would teach them things to do and things not to do to become wealthy. And I said, I will guarantee, I charged them $5,000 for 4 one-day seminars. And I started off doing it for 3 years, 4 days every year. But it was too much, because if I gave the first seminar, then I had to give all 12 seminars over 3 years, and I was locked in. So I cut it back to 1 year, 4 seminars, much more concentrated. And I said, if you don't double your income and double your time off, there will be no charge. And that's my guarantee to get you to sign up. And they said, okay. And I never had a person call me on that. Nobody ever asked me for a refund. Everybody doubled their income or doubled their time off, or both, within 12 months, some within 12 days. The results were extraordinary. Most people, I found, like me, don't know how to become wealthy. And so what we do is we try this and we try that, and we try this and we try that. And after 10, 15, 20 years, we're still struggling. So what I did is I put together a system, a methodology, a process, and basically it just pumps out millionaires. And so I thought, well, I could spend days with you guys, but Andy and I spent a long time talking on Monday. And so what I decided to do is just give you a very simple formula, a couple of things that you can do or not do, and you'll become wealthy. And everybody who follows these ideas becomes wealthy. It's sort of like, here's the keys to the car, there's the store. If you drive to the store, you can get what you need and come back. Now, there's several steps, but it's not very complicated. And I know it works because it's worked for me, and it's worked for everybody that I've taught. It's really wonderful. I go and I give seminars. One of the things, most popular books in the world, which is in now about 40 languages, is goals. But I've written now 91 books. And the most popular book or books have been published in 51 languages. 51 languages. So obviously people are passing them on and reproducing them, and sometimes they even pay royalties. But let's not talk about that. So moving along, I want you all to become self-made millionaires. And I began to study it. I said, what is the starting point of becoming a self-made millionaire? And then why is it that people don't become wealthy? Andy and I were talking about the United States of America, and the fact that this is the best place in the entire world to become wealthy. It's the very best place of all. Bill Gates gives talks to university students, 500,000 students, And he was asked a question. He said, if you had a person who was standing behind a curtain and you could ask them one question, which one question would you ask them to determine if they were going to be rich and successful? And he said, and this was for several years, he would say, what is your level of education? What is your level of education? He would ask the person behind the screen, and that would be the best indicator for him of whether or not you're going to become wealthy. But over time, as he got more experience, he changed it. And he said, the question that will determine your success more than anything else is, where do you live? Where do you live? What country do you live in? And the country you live in was the greatest predictor of financial success. And Andy and I were talking about this. So if you're born in the U.S., you're born at the head of the line. You're born almost with a silver spoon in your mouth. You are blessed by God to be born here. And I do a lot of work in Washington and with the conservative think tank called Heritage Foundation. And Heritage Foundation is devoted to freedom and free enterprise. And it is the best think tank in the world, according to people who measure think tanks. And why? Is because they're accurate, they're timely. They have 178 very smart people who work for them, and so on. And so Heritage is brilliant, and Heritage is always talking about the things that you need to do for America to help make America and keep America the most prosperous land in the world. Anyway, one of our members is a man named Bill Bennett. Bill Bennett was the Secretary of Education under Reagan. He's a very smart man. And he was traveling and he visited a high school in Chicago. And one of the students asked a question, Mr. Bennett, you know, we hear so many terrible things about America. How can you tell if a country is a good country or not? And he said, that's very simple. He's a great guy. He said, it's very simple. Just open the doors and see which way the people go. And that's all you need to know about America. Just open the doors and see which way the people go. In America, you don't even have to open the doors. They break them down. They climb over them and they climb under them and they swim and everything else. Look at that scene in Del Rio, Texas, under the bridge. At 14,000 people, they reckon now, and then they drove them all away and sent them into America and dispersed them like throwing seeds. And they're all gone. And now they're expecting another 20,000 are going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. And the Biden government is just throwing them out there and saying, remember, vote for us. When you get old enough to vote, you vote for us, okay? And then how you go, okay? And it's never happened before in all of history where tens of thousands of people, they had 200,000 people in August, 200,000 illegal immigrants pouring across the border and dispersing themselves all over the country. But that is an example of how much they want to enjoy the wealth of America. The interesting thing is they don't come here to go on to welfare, although many of them do. They come here just to work, just to have an opportunity, just to provide something for their families. And it's interesting, I'm Canadian. And when I was 8 years old, I was living in Toronto and my parents immigrated to the US and I lived in California for 8 years, basically the formative years of my life. It's where I learned to love America. And then my parents immigrated back to Canada, to Vancouver, and I went with them. And we were sitting in Edmonton. Now I'm growing up and I've traveled. I spent 8 years traveling around the world. And I came back and worked in real estate development and some other things. And I sat down with my wife, and Reagan had just come into office and the economy was booming. And I'm watching all this stuff on television, reading all this stuff. And I said, honey, the action in this world today is in the U.S. I said, the U.S. Is the greatest land of opportunity anywhere. Canada is really good, but the U.S. is the best. I said, let's move. And she said, whatever you want. So what we did is we packed up. We went to California. We got a lawyer. We got proper immigration. We did it legally, actually. And then we moved. My business, I had a teaching training business in Edmonton. And I moved to San Diego. And I've been here ever since. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I had 2 children at that time, and we had 2 more. Barbara was 8 months pregnant. And I met a really top executive at a conference I addressed in Orlando. And I was telling him about our thinking about going to the U.S. And he said, if you're ever going to go now so that your son or your child can be born in the U.S. Being born in the U.S. is the greatest gift that you can possibly get. So Barbara was 8 months pregnant, even more. So I phoned her from Orlando. I said, pack, we're moving. And she said, but you're not allowed on a plane after 8 months of pregnancy. I said, we'll dress it up a bit. And so we did. And we flew to San Diego, and we stayed in a Residence Inn until our son, David, who's now 35, was born. And so now David is grown up and married and has 2 children. And all my children are just doing fabulous. And Barbara and I sometimes sit and talk about it. Wow, what a great thing. Moving to America, coming to America, greatest gift in the world. And you can see it when you see all those people under the bridge at Del Rio. They're all thinking, I can just get in here and not be thrown out. Just get in here legally, get anything. They say that the green card, the American green card, is the most valuable piece of paper in the world. You can get if you can get an American green card. So what I want to do is I want to do 3 things. I want to first of all show you how to become a self-made millionaire, and we have about 10,000 self-made millionaires in the United States. So let's put it this way: 87% of millionaires in the U.S. are self-made. That means they started with nothing and they became millionaires in 1 generation. And so if 10,000 people, actually, I'm just trying to think about it, it's vastly more than 10,000. But if this many people can become millionaires, so can you. All you have to do is do what they did. This is the great discovery. If you do what other successful people do, you get the results that other successful people get. And the most wonderful thing, if you look at the statue in New York Harbor, it says justice is blind. So justice holds up the measuring, but she has a scarf across her eyes. Well, this is the way the world is that opportunity in the U.S. is blind. Anybody can have anything they want to have that other people have had, because wealth is blind. So what you can do is just do what other successful people do, and you get the results that other successful people get. Now, here's an interesting thing I learned from my friend Jim Rohn many years ago. He said, earning $1 million is hard. Don't let anybody tell you that it's easy. If they tell you it's easy, you better hold on to your wallet, because they're going to try to get your money. So what you do is you remember that it's hard to earn $1 million. But here's what Jim told me. He said, the first million is hard, but the second million is inevitable. And why is that? Well, the answer is because you have to become, it's not earning $1 million. It's the person that you have to become to earn $1 million. You have to become a completely different human being. You have to learn to think differently. You have to learn to work harder. You have to learn to get up earlier. You have to learn to do all of these things to be successful. And but once you have learned it. And how can you tell if you have passed your exams? You have learned what you need to learn to become wealthy. How can you tell? Now, the answer is pretty obvious. What is it? Well, the answer is you're rich. That's how you can tell you're a millionaire. You can tell that you mastered the subject because there it is. It's not imagination. It's in your bank account. And so therefore your job is to learn from me and from Andy how to become wealthy. And then just do it over and over again until it locks in. And then once it locks in, is you start to earn more money regularly and then steadily more and more money. And I specialized my whole life in teaching how to become self-made millionaires. And one of my greatest joys is when I go to a seminar where I've been there a year or two before, and people come up to me and they say the same words. And I love it because it's almost like they got a cue card or something, because they say the same words. They say, I was at your seminar 2 years, 3 years, 1 year ago, and I just wanted to say, thank you. You changed my life. You made me rich. You changed my life. You made me rich. Just that book on goals is enough to make you rich. All successful people, Napoleon Hill, after all of his studies, concluded that the starting point of success is what he called it, burning desire. But what it meant was that you have a burning desire to achieve a particular goal. And your particular goal is financial independence. And so what we do is we take the number 1 million and we say that will be my number. If I have 1 million, I'll be financially independent. Of course, when you get to 1 million, you realize it's going to take more. And so you set your next goal for 2 million and then 3 million. And remember, the first one is hard, but the second one is inevitable. So I want to give you some of what I call the success secrets of self-made millionaires. And what I'll do is I will just give them to you quickly. If you want more detailed textbook, you can go and get my book, which is called Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. It will cost you a couple of dollars, and it'll make you rich. So,
Brian.
Yes.
There's, I know you know this, but I was just Googling. There's 8,800,000 millionaires.
That's what I thought.
100 in America, and 110,000 multi-millionaires. Like, I'm telling y'all, what he's telling you is simple and easy. So what's so hard about it? It's the same as dieting. Don't put that donut in your mouth. It's easy to not put it in there, but it's difficult. Everything he's going to tell us is easy. I slipped into the I just slipped in there. Redneck from Union Ridge. I do 10 things wrong, 20 things wrong, but what he's getting ready to tell you is the things that matter. He could tell you other things, but he's going to tell you the things that matter. All right, brother. I love you, man. I'm listening. I'm about to jump out of my skin. Brian Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you too. And so what Jim Rohn told me, and he's passed on, he had this ability to sort of summarize great ideas in sort of like a little gem. And one of the things he said was, things that are easy to do are things that are easy not to do. And that explains the most important quality throughout history for success, and it's self-discipline. Is everyone who is wealthy will look back and say, it was self-discipline that did it. I forced myself to do things. And Albert Hubbard, a great writer in the early part of the century, said, self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. And he went on to say is that anybody can do it if they feel like it. It's when you don't feel like it. You don't feel like getting up, and you don't feel like working long days and working on weekends and you don't feel like studying and all of these things, and you make yourself do it anyway, that's the most important quality for success. And every successful person will say the same thing. It's the ability to force yourself. And so when I learned that, and I learned that when I was very young, and I didn't need to go to a book. Had the good fortune of sort of stumbling across these ideas because I was a reader. I came across a one-liner from Earl Nightingale many years ago. He said, "Readers are leaders, and leaders are readers." And that nickel just dropped for me. And I was a reader anyway, but now I was more of a reader. I read 2 to 3 hours a day, every day, 2 to 3 hours. If I'm flying by plane, and I used to travel to Asia and Europe 4 to 8 times a year, I would be on a plane for 8 to 10 hours, and I'd read the whole time. And I went through book after book after book. You can't see because I've got a special device here that covers my office. But I'm sitting here in my office. I have about 2,000 or 3,000 books in my office. All my books are double stacked. I have books downstairs. I have books upstairs. I have books in my living room. I have about 6,000 books in my home, and I've read most of them. And some of them I've read several times. And the cheapest education you can get is to buy a book. It's so astonishing. Again, Jim said, it's not how much it costs you to buy a book. It's how much it costs you not to know what's in that book. And I learned that from him 30, 40 years ago. And I thought, damn, that's good. That it's not how much the book costs or how much the conference costs or how much the seminar costs. It's how much it costs you not to know. And I've had countless people who have told me that attending one of my seminars or talks made them rich. I taught them something, and it just is something that just hit, and they were ready for it. And they look right back for the rest of their life to that time, place, and date where they learned that new thing and incorporated it into their lives and became wealthy. So here are my what I call my 21 success secrets of self-made millionaires. And I'll give them to you quickly because I have a lot of stuff that Andy and I want to share with you. Number one is dream big dreams. Dream big dreams. In other words, don't settle for little stuff. Have big dreams. I mean, you don't want to be financially independent. You want to be a millionaire. And if you're approaching a millionaire, you want to be a double a millionaire, a triple millionaire. You want to be a 5 or a 10 millionaire. You want to have big dreams. And one of the most wonderful questions in the world is, why not you? Why not me? Why not you? If others can do it, you can do it. Here's my friend Jim Shark over here. I like that. Can you see me? You see? That's great. And basically just, yes, I can do it. If others can do it, I can do it. One of the things you'll do, like me, I've met now personally in my seminars about 5 million people all over the world. And one of the things you'll find when you meet a wealthy person is sometimes they're just very ordinary people. They're not great geniuses at all. Sometimes they're just hardworking guys. Or people like Andy Albright, and so therefore you'll be surprised. You look at these people that have accomplished so much, and they're just average, hardworking people. They have clear goals, and they wrote them down, and then they worked on their goals every day, and they became wealthy. And they say to me, they hold up the book, they say, "Thank you. You changed my life. You made me rich." Now, if you want to make a big contribution in your life, be the person that people say that to you later on. You changed my life. You made me rich. You opened this door. You suggested this. And I'm going to give you several ways that are slam dunk, absolutely guaranteed to become wealthy. But I've got to move quickly because Andy said we've got lots of other things to cover. So here they are. Number 2 is develop a clear sense of direction. And what does that mean? That means written goals. It's just like if you're going to go on a trip, you get a map and you look at the map or you put it into your GPS system and you're clear that you're going from point A to point B. It's not a great miracle. And nobody would ever think of going on a trip with no idea where it is. You wouldn't drive out your driveway and just start driving in circles. First thing you do is develop a clear sense of direction, which means written goals. And I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on that in a second. Number three, and again, I learned this from Earl Nightingale, and I do this with my audiences now. See yourself as self-employed. See yourself as self-employed. Why? Because all wealthy people see themselves as self-employed. And what this is a very simple mental shift. So I'll ask my audience, I said, how many people here are self-employed? And about 10 or 15% will raise their hands. And I'll say, well, excuse me, I must have mispronounced the question. Let me ask it again. How many people here are self-employed? And then there's a silence. And then the hands start to come up, one after another. And they all realize the question. They all realize it was a trick question. They all raise their hands. Yes, everyone is self-employed. No matter who signs your paycheck, you are still working for yourself. So always think of yourself as working for yourself. And I equate this with self-responsibility, where you say, I am responsible for my own life. I'm responsible for my own income. I work for myself. Somebody else just happens to provide me with a place to work at this time, but I work for myself. And that is the attitude that wealthy people have. Wealthy people cannot even imagine working for someone else. You know, they work for themselves, and you work for yourselves. And so that means that you make decisions for yourself. So number 4 is do what you love to do. Do what you love to do. Again, Napoleon Hill said this, is that if you do what you love to do, you'll never work another day in your life. It's a wonderful little one-liner. But what it means is that successful people do what they love to do. And as a result, they have all kinds of energy. When you're doing something you enjoy, your body just fills up with energy. And you have all kinds of ideas and inputs and you find things to read and so on. So ask yourself, do you love what you're doing? One of the questions you ask is, if you were financially independent today, is would you continue to do what you're doing now? And the fact is, if you don't love what you're doing, you probably will never be successful. And so take it to your time. Now, here's something that I learned. It's very important. There's lots of times you start at a job and you don't love it. And you think, well, this is the wrong job for me. But I learned that you can never love anything until you're good at it. You can never love it. A musician cannot love making music until they're good at it. Even a gardener, I used to mow lawns. Even a gardener can't be a good gardener until they love to mow lawns, which I did. And so when you become good at what you're doing, then you start to love it. You look forward to it. Human beings naturally, internally love to do stuff well. And so that's the key. So don't judge too quickly. If you're doing something, don't say, well, I don't love this. Well, maybe you're not good enough at it yet. You're not good enough at it yet. It's one of my favorite words. And when you get good at it, then you start to love it. Why? Because you start to get such great results from it. And people compliment you and praise you. And you're going to go to nice restaurants and drive a nice car and everything else. And you love what your success makes available to you. So always remember that. You don't love it until you're good at it. If you become good at it, and I became very good at real estate development. Over the years, I've developed more than $500 million of real estate, including office buildings, shopping centers, apartment buildings, all kinds of things. And I didn't get any thrill out of it. I was good at it because it's very logical, but I didn't love it. What I love is what we're doing right now. I love helping other people to be successful. But I've become good at real estate before I decided that I can still do it. In fact, last year, I finished a real estate project in Fort Lauderdale, and we took a piece of land, actually 8 pieces of property downtown, and we combined them together, borrowed money from everybody, and we put together a piece of property that was evaluated at full development. When it was completely developed, it would be worth $330 million. Office buildings and apartments and condominiums and shopping centers and everything else, it would be worth $330 million. And we had to sell it. My partners and I had to sell it at that point because we didn't have enough money to go on. But that's how you do it. When you develop real estate, first of all, you find the land, then you find the tenant, then you develop for that small tenant, then you do it again. And so what happens is you reach a point like climbing up a ladder, and then you have to have a partner with more money and more connections to step in and take it to the next stage. And they will take it to the next stage and make it more valuable. And then they will find a partner who will come in and take it to the next stage. So when you see a big piece of property, very often there's been several different developers who've taken it from stage to stage. Like what I did is I took and worked with several other realtors to combine these different packages together, 8 properties into one big property. And that was very hard. And I had a lot of interesting connections and so on. But once I had that, and it was downtown Fort Lauderdale, and meanwhile, they developed a new rail from Fort Lauderdale to downtown Miami, then it was time to sell. Now, property's worth much more than it was worth before. Anyway, what happens is learn how to do it and do it well. And then sometimes you move on to doing something else well. Commit to excellence. This is something else, is that you have the ability to do excellent work and make a decision to do excellent work. Develop a reputation for excellence where people praise you for quality work. And that means that you start a little earlier, you stay a little later, you work a little bit harder, and you set high standards on yourself. You simply do not accept mediocre work, not from yourself and not from anyone else. It's really, really important. In our world, we only admire and respect the people who are good at what they do. And your job is to be one of them. Now, is it easy? No. Nothing worthwhile is easy. It's hard. And, it's 3 types of hard. Hard, harder still, and even harder. It's just it's never easy. Anybody who ever suggests it's easy to make money is not telling you the truth. And as Andy will tell you, grab your wallet and run, because they say when a man with experience meets a man with money, the man with money is going to end up with the experience, and the man with experience is going to end up with his money. Isn't that true, Andy? So it's really important. Now, commit to excellence. And that's so important. And there's another reason. It's because how you feel about yourself as an individual is really critical to your success. And you'll only feel good about yourself when you know that you do good work. And you only really know that you do good work is when other people feed it back to you and tell you that was good. That's a good job. That's great. You really did a good job there. And is it easy? No, it's hard. And you have to work very hard to get it. But once you've achieved it, this is another thing. And I learned this from Lloyd Conant, who founded Nightingale Conant. He said, once you have achieved it, you set a template in your mind that makes you driven to achieve it again, to do excellent work again. And once you start to do excellent work, nothing else will satisfy you except excellent work. You set standards for yourself, and you don't compromise your standards. And it's really important. And you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for yourself. So, one of the most wonderful things is I get a lot of compliments from my work. And because I've put in about 150,000 hours of research and practice to get to where I am. And sometimes my kids will meet people who will talk about me in a positive way. They don't know that my son or daughter is my son or daughter, but they'll talk about that Brian Tracy. He wrote a great book or did a great seminar. And they'll come and tell me, And I think, that's one of the most wonderful things in the world is when your children tell you that somebody come and spoke to them, told them about you, they heard about you, they knew about you, and so on. That's really great. And that's worth more than money. It's worth more than anything else, is to have people talk about people that you respect, hear about you from people you respect. So here's another one. Work longer and harder. Work longer and harder. There's no lazy rich people. Rich people work hard. As I said before, they just hit it. They keep working and working and working. I've got a whole bunch of notes here, but one of the notes I want to pass on to you is I've started to study billionaires, millionaires, and billionaires. I even have a book here. Here's it here. It's a book I wrote. I was going to put this together for Audible, and we were going to use it as a promotional piece. But the book is called Make More Money. Make More Money. And it's based on my years of research into self-made millionaires and billionaires. And what I found, very simple, is that billionaires get up before 6 a.m. in the morning and start immediately. They get up before 6 a.m. Non-millionaires don't. They sleep in as long as possible. They get up and they rush off. And the first thing they do when they get to work is get a cup of coffee and then start shooting the you-know-what with their coworkers. And most people spend about 50% of each working day shooting the breeze with their friends and their coworkers and on the phone and checking the internet and checking their email and so on. But not successful people. Successful people come to work and go to work immediately. They say, hi, how you doing? How's everybody? Good. And hit it and go to work. And I always remember that people said, well, when I started to work all day, every day, people started to say I wasn't very interesting anymore. I mean, I didn't hang out anymore. I'd come to say, hi, how you doing? What's going on? And you would say, well, I got to get this job finished. So you weren't any fun anymore because you were just always working. And it was almost like they were denigrating you, telling you that you should be feeling kind of bad about yourself because you just work and you just do the job that you're paid for. Oh my God. Wow. What an insight. You're doing the job that you're paid for. And so one of the things I say is when you're young, you go to school, and the reason you go to school is to get an education. But what you do is you associate going to school with playing with your friends. Playing with your friends. And when you're a kid, you're in kindergarten, you go there and you play with your friends. And you get first grade, you play with your friends. And the teachers have to supervise you. So in the old days, they had a little stick. They have to supervise you, whack, to do schoolwork. Yeah, that's right. Let's do your schoolwork. And because you're here to do schoolwork. And as soon as the teacher wasn't looking, you go back to playing with your friends. And so this goes on to first grade, second grade, and junior high school, and get into high school. And then you can play different games with your friends, as long as you don't get caught. And then if you finish high school and you actually go on to college, you go to college and you play with your friends. First thing you do is all the different recreational activities that you have at school and college and everything else. And then you finish school and you get a job. And you go into your job, and it's interesting, most people are actually throw up on the first day of work. They go to work and they're really nervous and tense and everything else. And they're introduced around to the other people, and these other people are their same age. And what do you do with people your same age? You play. So now you form a new play circle. And so what you do is you play with your friends. And most people think about work as a place where you go to play with your friends. And if the boss comes along, you go, and then play with your friends. So 50%, according to the studies, and this is my studies, I'm the best-selling author of time management books in the world, maybe in history. So I know a lot about it. But what I found was that the great majority of people think of work as their primary play place. They go there to play. and they play with their friends. And then at the end of the workday, they start to shut things down half an hour to an hour before the end of the workday. Then they go across the street and go drinking with their friends that they've just been talking to all day long. And they wonder why they don't get promoted. They wonder why they don't become wealthy. Is 80%, remember the 80-20 rule, is 20% of people earn 80% of the money. No, I heard that and I said, where does that come from? Well, it comes from a Swiss professor named Vilfredo Pareto in 1895. And what he found was that in his plants, in his garden, is that 80% of the produce came from 20% of his vegetables and plants. And then he began to look at it in terms of productivity and then money and everything else. And it's become known as the Pareto principle or Pareto's law. Is 20% of people earn 80% of the money. And I remember a really successful sales guy telling me that. And we're standing on the street. Please excuse me. The robocalls are busy today and never stop. We used to keep them under the hard line, but now they're finding your phone number on your iPhone. So please excuse me. To help me out, where was I? We were talking about
80-20 is the Pareto rule.
80-20, yes. Now here's what I sat down and I looked at it, and he told me that. And I remember we were standing in the street, and he was saying, well, remember the 80-20 rule? I said, what 80-20? And he told me, we're standing on the street, on the sidewalk, and he's the top sales guy in our company. He makes 10 times as much as anybody else. And he said, oh, yeah, everybody knows it. It's a law. I said, well, I still remember because it changed my life. I said, well, if that's the case, I'm going to be in the top 20%. I still remember. I decided I'm going to be in the top 20%. And I stuck to that decision. And that's the key. If you make a decision right now that I'm going to be in the top 20%, then what you do is you just keep working and working until you get there. And you're going to find this most amazing thing. There's nobody stopping you. There's nobody saying, no, you can't be in the top 20%. You can't be rich. You can't have a big house on the hill. There's nobody out there. And it's always in yourself. So what you say is, I'm going to be in the top 20%. And within 1 year, even less, my income had gone up 5-10 times. I couldn't believe it. That's all I thought about. So I began reading. What do the top people do? Is they read all the time. Okay, so I began reading. What do the top people do? They start early, work harder, stay later. Okay, so I started doing that. It's so simple. Just do what successful people do, and in a short period of time, you will be getting the same results that successful people get. But here's another thing, is that if you do certain things over and over, the same, what do you develop? What do you develop?
Habit, routine.
Habit. Yes, you develop the habit of doing what successful people do. Now, the most amazing thing is this, is that as Goethe, the German philosopher, one of the smartest people in history, he said, habits are hard before they're easy. He said, every habit is hard to develop and most people give up. But if you keep at it, it becomes easy and automatic. Pretty soon, like you brush your teeth every morning, that you bathe, you shower, you work and so on, is just automatic. But it's really hard at the beginning. So some people will say, and I've studied this exhaustively, it takes 21 days to form a new habit. Well, a good friend of mine said, well, that may or may not be true, but you can form a new habit in 5 seconds, and you have it for life. And I said, what is that? Sit on a hot stove. Sit on a hot stove, and you'll have the habit of not sitting on stoves before you check them for the rest of your life. So you can learn a habit real fast if the motivation is high enough. So the next key is dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. Is never stop reading and learning. And I've got 3 things I want to recommend to you. And unfortunately, well, four books. One book is written by a man named Henry Hazlitt, who I met when I was coming up. He's no longer with us. But Henry Hazlitt wrote a book called Economics in One Lesson. And it's not a big book, and it's easy to read. And once you read it, you will be skilled at economics for the rest of your life. You will be able to see through the nonsense that the left is always perpetrating, trying to suggest you can have free money and easy money, and all you have to do is vote these people into office. And now you had Joe Biden, they're passing a bill to spend $3.5 trillion of deficit spending. $3.5 trillion. And there's a big fight. The Republicans are fighting back on it. But Biden stands up there and he says, this won't cost us a cent. This $3.5 trillion won't cost us a cent. Just vote for it. The money's there. It won't cost us a cent. Have you heard that? It's just SMH, shaking my head, just shaking my head. How can people say that you're going to pass the 3.5 trillion deficit bill and it's not going to cost anything? And it's going to cost the rich. The rich will pay. Everything will be the rich. The rich will pay it. I was doing a seminar once, and they were talking about how the rich will be taxed to pay for all of these wonderful programs. And I said, let me ask you a question. These are people who come to my seminars are above average intelligence. I said, are rich people smart or dumb? And the whole audience sort of mouths. Yeah, rich people are smart. Now, if you try to take their money away from them, are they going to find a way to keep their money, or are they just going to give it to you? No, they're going to find a way to hold on to their money. So this idea that we'll just tax the rich, what the rich will do is they will just use the existing law and tax system, and they will guard against and protect their money. That's pretty simple. It's not what do they call it? Rocket science. So the fact is that you are self-employed. You work for yourself. And when you have that, you mean you're self-responsible. You're in charge. And everything that you do or don't do, everything you accomplish is up to you. If you're not happy with your existing results, change them. Do something different. You know, the old thing, the great law of the universe was discovered by Aristotle in 350 BC, and it was called the Aristotelian law of causality. I like to say that because it makes people think I'm smart. You know, yes, as Aristotle once said, and so I quote Aristotle. And you can, I always said, you can always get away by quoting an obscure Greek philosopher. Herodotus once said this in the Anthem, yes. And Aristotle says, so you just quote Epictetus. Yes, Epictetus was very clear about the importance of Stoicism. In other words, just quote a Greek philosopher, and they'll all think that you're smart, and not one of them will ever catch you. So I just always quote, I just pull it out of the air. Ah, yes, Herodotus again. Herodotus said that. Anyway, the fact is, what they do say, they just come up with very logical conclusions. And in Aristotle's conclusion, the law of causality says that everything happens for a reason. And that if you want to achieve a particular goal, find out how other people have done it. What did they do starting with nothing to become wealthy? And whatever they did, do the same thing. And just do it over and over. And when you start off, it'll be hard. You'll make a lot of mistakes. But if you just keep working at it with practice, you'll get better at it. And pretty soon you'll get the same results they do. And people will say, you sure are lucky. You sure are lucky. You've got a bank account full of money and a beautiful house on the hill and your kids in private schools. You sure are lucky. Remember Thomas Jefferson used to say, people say I'm lucky, and they're right. And the harder that I work, the luckier I get. The harder I work, the luckier I get. And that was old Herodotus again, I'm sure. So the next law is, of course, work longer and harder. Dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. That's remember, it's almost like the more you learn, the more you earn. It's as simple as that. If you stop learning, you stop earning, and your bucket starts to drain out, and you start to earn less and less. So just keep learning. Just keep learning. So I was going to recommend, first of all, Henry Hazlitt's book, Economics in One Lesson. And from then on, you will be able to understand everything that they say. You'll be able to debate or argue anybody who thinks that it's easy to get free money and so on. Hazlitt was a really great man. And as I say, I spent a day with him many years ago before he passed on. Now, 3 other books I would like to recommend. Number 1, my favorite is Maximum Achievement. Now, that's my best book. Many people all over the world say it is their best book. Have you ever heard of Lululemon? Anybody heard of Lululemon? Well, the founder of Lululemon hired me to come up and spend 2 days with them in Vancouver, which I did. While I was there, he told me that he had been a yoga instructor in a yoga school in Vancouver, and he wasn't going anywhere. You don't make a lot of money as a yoga instructor, and his wife had to work as well. They 2 of them to support the family, and then he came across my program, which is Maximum Achievement in an audio cassette form. He came across that, and he read it, and he practiced it, and he realized he couldn't make money as a yoga instructor. So what could he make money at? And he found that people who took yoga really spent a lot of money on their clothes, and the clothes that were being offered were not very good. And so he began to do some research on clothes, and he found that there were companies in Taiwan that produced really excellent yoga clothes. So he began to import them and sell them at the back of the room in yoga schools. And he began to make more money than the people running the schools. And he got smarter and smarter. He told me all kinds of things. We walked and talked for 2 days. The most amazing thing. His name is Chip Wilson. He is now the 2nd richest man in Canada. He's worth about $6 or $7 billion. And it's interesting. A friend of mine ran into him at a conference recently, and he said, do you know Brian Tracy? And he said, yeah, Brian Tracy's a good friend of mine. He said, Brian Tracy made me rich. He said, when I started to listen to his material, and if you go to Lululemon, everywhere, all the bags, all the stores, everybody who goes to Lululemon is trained on my materials. They got the videos from my earlier seminars, and either they bought them or something else. What they do is they train everybody on my stuff. And so he said, tell him thanks again. This was just a week, 2 weeks ago. So that's nice to hear. It's wonderful. I got a phone call about 2 or 3 years ago from Moscow, and they said, we have my client who I work for would like to meet with Brian Tracy for a day. And well, Brian comes to Europe about 4 times a year. When would he be coming to Europe? So we set it up, and this man had just bought, the client had just bought the biggest and most expensive condominium, $300 million in Monaco, in Switzerland. And he said, well, he had just bought this from the person who just died, a very famous transaction. And what he did is he bought a first-class hotel, a 5-star hotel, right next to this condominium, so his visitors would have a place to stay. And so they set it all up, and I flew in, and I brought my wife with me, and then I went down to the lobby, and there's 2 heavies waiting to escort me into the condominium and up the back elevator. And I spent the entire day with him. And it was an incredible story. I read about him in Forbes and Fortune, and it's on Google and everything else. And he said that he was pushing a gurney. He had a degree in medicine, but with the Soviet Union the way it was, everybody got paid the same. And so a person pushing a gurney got paid the same amount as a person with a degree in medicine. Really strange stuff. Anyway, he's pushing a gurney, and somebody left a copy in Russian of my book, Maximum Achievement. It turned out the book has become one of the most popular, if not the most popular book in Russia when Russia collapsed. Everybody wanted to read about success. So he got the book and he began reading it, and he began suddenly starting to see opportunities where he could do this and that and so on. And 8 years later, he was one of the richest men in the world. He was into potash distribution. He was into buildings, and he likes buildings. So he bought a condominium on the main park in New York City. What is the name of that park?
On the park?
Yeah.
Park Avenue?
What's the name of that?
Park. It's huge.
Central Park.
Central Park.
Central Park in New York.
Central Park.
Central Park.
Central Park. Anyway, the most expensive buildings in some of in the world are surrounding Central Park. So he bought a condominium on the top floor of this condominium complex, and it cost him $95 million for the condo. He bought the island that Aristotle Onassis had off of Greece. He bought the island for $150 million. He bought a home in Switzerland for $100 million, and a home downtown in London for $80 million. He loves to own property, so he pays outrageous prices for it. So I went to see him. I went to visit him at his condo in Switzerland, and I spent the entire day with him. And he told me he was pushing the gurney. He got the book. He began to read the book. He began to set goals, and he began to learn about different opportunities and study them. And then he met people, and he was interested in working with them. He had no money. He started off with nothing, and today he's worth about $8 billion. And it's interesting. He fell in love with art. He began to acquire art. And a few months ago, there was a big story in all the newspapers of a transaction, a Leonardo da Vinci painting of the Mona Lisa, which was different from the Mona Lisa. And it had been sold for $500 million to an unknown buyer. And I found it was my friend, and he had paid $500 million for this painting. And most astonishing thing, and the guy started off a few years ago pushing a gurney in a hospital in St. Petersburg. And what he did is he started to set goals, and he began to read Maximum Achievement over and over. And finally, when he reached that takeoff point, he called my office in San Diego and said, can I meet the man? And so I did, spent a day with him and had lunch and had dinner with him. And then later, about 2 or 3 months later, he asked me to come and meet with him in New York in his condo on Park Avenue. Really interesting, really just fabulous to hear the wonderful stories that people have had. And becoming millionaires, I cannot count the number of people who become millionaires using this material. But it's nice to see the billionaires, some of the best known billionaires in the world. Nothing makes you happier or me happier or Andy happier than to help other people be successful. That's just wonderful. You just think it's more important than anything else. It's just that we had something to do with you becoming a big success. We just love it. And so I went and spent the day and the evening in his condo, his $95 million condo. And of course, they've got these big Russian security guards. That beautiful men speak fluent English. They escort you into the building and up the elevator and into the ante room, and just wonderful. Anyway, it's good. It's good to be able to help people. So number one, I want you to read Economics in One Lesson, because you have a valuable contribution to make to America and the world. And you can make that contribution when you know what's going on, and they cannot bullshit you. You understand economics. You know how the economy works, and nobody can stand there and tell you that they're going to print $4.5 trillion, but it won't cost anybody anything. It's just handed out. Just like those 10,000 people from Haiti, from the bridge in Texas, everybody started to see it on television, and suddenly, overnight, they're all gone. They're all gone. They grabbed them all. They put them in trucks and buses and planes and just distributed them all over America. Nobody knows where they are. And you're thinking, and you just shake your head. Shaking my head. SMH. Shaking my head. Anyway, so we say, dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. Pay yourself first. This is the richest man in Babylon. Wrote a book, and he talked about the principles of wealth creation. One of them is pay yourself first, and pay yourself off the top of your income. Most people spend all their money and save what's left over. What you do is you save 10% off the top and you put it away, and you live on the balance. And people say, well, I can't do it. I'm just drowning in debt. All right, save 1%. And spend 99%. When you develop a habit, you're comfortable at 1%, increase it to 2% and live on 98%. Within a year, you'll be living on 90% of your income, and that other 10% will start to build up. My friend Earl Nightingale said, if a person does not have financial resources to take advantage of an opportunity when it comes up, he will merely look foolish. You will merely look foolish. What good is it for you to have opportunities to be in the richest, most wonderful country in the history of man on earth and have no money? If somebody comes up to you and there's an opportunity to produce and distribute something and you have no money, you just look foolish. You just look foolish. And 80% of people are in that category. So I took it and I tried to figure out what is the real difference between the top 20 and the bottom 80. Well, here it is the average income of people in the top 20% is 16 times the average income of people in the bottom 80%. So here's my question to you. What difference would it make in your life if you were earning 16 times what you're earning today? What difference would it make if you're earning 16 times? Well, the average income of the top 20% is 16 times. And you know what I did? I decided I'm going to get in the top 20%. And I did. And it took a long time. It took a long time and hard work. But everything is hard before it's easy. So I reached the point, like Andy, like you guys, where you reach the point before it's when it's easy. It never becomes totally easy, but it's easier. I'm thinking of writing a book. I've written 91 books. One of my next books, I have 3 or 4 ideas, is called The Factor. And the more I studied business, the more I realized that people who are successful are a little bit better than other people. So they are faster, cheaper, dedicated. They work harder. I was thinking I write a book called The Factor. is the Earth factor explains all success and all failure. Is they work harder and they produce more, but there's always that ER at the end of the word that determines success or failure. And so the first book is Economics in One Lesson, which will change your thinking forever, and nobody will ever be able to mess around with you. And then the second, as Andy's showing, is Maximum Achievement. That I've had many people who've read Napoleon Hill's material for years, 20, 30 years, become multimillionaires and billionaires, but they say Maximum Achievement's better. Thank you. Maximum Achievements is by many reports, the best book on personal success ever written. And here's my friend Chip Wilson of Lululemon, and everybody in Lululemon is trained on my materials. And it's just wonderful to see that, to see people becoming wealthy, becoming rich, becoming happy because they're doing things a little differently. But they say that, if there's a piece of information that can change your life and you don't have it, it's like it doesn't exist. And so your job is to keep accumulating the information. I call it scooping. Keep scooping new ideas. So number 3 idea is Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog is a book. And this book is the best-selling book on time management in history. It's sold 3 million copies in 51 languages. Oh, there it is. Eat That Frog. And it just basically shows you how to manage your time so that you are vastly more productive. Many people have said this book made them rich. I have sometimes rooms full of people say, this book made them rich. And what it does, Eat That Frog says, basically it says that if the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is you eat a live frog, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that that's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day long, is eating a live frog. And so it's the same thing. If the first thing you do in the morning is you start and complete your biggest task, your worst task, your ugliest frog, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you're on top of your work, that you're on top of your most important responsibilities. So what you do is you start and complete your most important task first thing every morning. You get up, you take a deep breath, you complete the task. Now, the most amazing thing is if you have 10 things to do, you get a certain amount of satisfaction and joy and happiness and the feeling of being a winner if you finish any one of these tasks. But the task at the bottom has a little bit of punch. And task above that has a little bit more. But as you go up, you get to the task number 1, that task just knocks you out. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel ecstatic. You feel great because you finished this big, ugly, important task. It's interesting. I live in California, and in Los Angeles, you have the movie industry, and the streets are full of people who come from all over the country, and they want to get into movies. You see all kinds of stories about these people. And what they do is they take jobs in any kind of a job. They take jobs in washing dishes and serving coffee for whatever. And they're looking for something. And one of the biggest things that you can do is sell a script. If you can sell a script for a movie script, if you could do a good movie script, you'll be ecstatic. They pay you a fortune. They have parades. You have a big house in Beverly Hills if you can do a movie script. And so they were talking about this at the New York Times, and they said, I wonder how many people out there are script writers. And so they sent a reporter down to the sidewalk in front of the Los Angeles Times, downtown Los Angeles, and he saw people going by. How's your script going? How's your script going? He said 9 out of 10 people said, almost done, almost done, almost done. Or I'm working on it, but it's almost done. which means not yet started. They came here, they did everything. They work at Joe Jobs, and their whole hope and dream in life is to write a script. But they can't get started. They just cannot get themselves started. So remember that. It's not that you lack talent or ability. My friend Dennis Waitley, who lives around the corner from me, says, you have more potential than you could use in 100 lifetimes. And more potential than you could use in 100 lifetimes. And so don't worry about overdoing your potential. You're not going to overdo it. You've got more than you could possibly use. It's interesting. I see it, some of our friends are like me. They are aging with time. And I remember the story of Colonel Sanders. And Colonel Sanders grew up in the South, and his mother had a little cafe, and she developed this recipe. And the recipe was for fried chicken. And it was a combination of herbs and spices, if you like, for fried chicken. And so he went around, his life went around working for small cafes. And when he worked in a cafe, he'd say, I've got this recipe. Can we offer it to the guests? And they always loved the chicken. And what he did is he put all the spices into a plastic bag, and then they would take the chicken and put the chicken into the bag and shake it all up. And then they'd fry the chicken. That was the start. Well, he'd been doing this all his life, and he was working on a small cafe, and the highway department came through and it wiped out the cafe. And so there he is. He's unemployed. He's broke. He's got nothing going for him. And he got a letter from the tax department saying, congratulations, you're now ready. You're now old enough to retire. And it just pissed him off. He said, retire? Retire? Hey, I haven't even begun to live yet. He said, he just made him so mad that they were going to retire him. And he said he hadn't ever accomplished anything. So he decided the only thing he had going for him, you know this story, was this recipe. He'd been living off this recipe year after year, cafe after cafe. He was just a small town cafe cook. And he decided to take it and sell it. So he mixed up these little bags, little baglets, if you like, and he put these spices in. And then he started going up all the East Coast, from Florida all the way up. And he kept trying to sell these little bags to restaurant owners. And the restaurant owners would say, well, maybe, or I'll give it a try, or why don't you call me next year, and so on. He just kept working and working all the way up the coast into Toronto and going to different stores, trying to get someone to pay him for the baggies with the spices in it. And he found a restaurant, a little restaurant, and they liked it. They said, Mr. Sanders, this looks pretty good, and we really like the taste of it. By gum, we are going to buy it. And it was like 10 or 25 cents a bag to shake the chicken in. But he said, but because you're not legally registered as a company, we can't give you any money directly. But we really do want to use your recipe. And so what can we do? He said, well, what we'll do is we'll pay the money to the Canadian Red Cross. And we'll give it to them so the Canadian Red Cross will have the license for this recipe, and we'll pay the Canadian Red Cross the amount. So you don't make any money, but at least you've got a customer. And so he took the testimonials from this customer, and he started going again up and down, sleeping in his car with his pots and pans next to him, and going to little restaurants. And finally, someone else bought his little baggies, and then someone else bought his little baggies, and then someone else discovered him. Like Broadway, somebody looked at what he was doing and tasted and said, this is really good. This is damn good chicken. He said, I think we could probably make a franchise out of this. And of course, the rest is history. He is now the second or third best known personality in the world. He's rich and lives in a big house on the hill. And here's the interesting thing is he had this riches. He had this recipe all his life. All his life. He slept in his car and went from place to place. From the time he was 10 or 15, he had the recipe. The story, I like to tell it, it's just like you. You have the recipe for success in your own mind. It's just your job to get it out, or write it down, follow maximum achievement, and it will give you the recipes. And then the one last thing, so we read Henry Hazlitt's book so that you are smart and nobody can ever pull the wool over your eyes. Then you read Maximum Achievement. That is the best success book in the world. In terms of everybody who's read it. Then you read Eat That Frog. It'll show you how to really, really accomplish a lot of results in a short period of time. And then read Psychology of Selling. Again, this is my book, and it's one of the best-selling books in history. I just got a big award. I don't wonder where it is, from HarperCollins business division. It's a big publisher in New York. This is one of the made this. They said this book, one of the best-selling sales books in history, and it's called Psychology of Selling. When I was working with Nightingale Conant some years ago, I created this program, and then I took it to Nightingale Conant, and they released it on cassette, and it just literally exploded right across the country. People began to film my seminars. 500, 1,000, 2,000 people. They say the guy who did Psychology of Achievement, is coming to town. And then it went on to CD, and now it's only on Audible. And it's not very expensive, but countless people, they say more salespeople have become millionaires after using the Psychology of Selling than any other single influence. Most amazing thing. And I could tell you story after story after story. But if you're in sales, you must listen to the Psychology of Selling. It's not expensive. Now you can go to Audible and you can just take your phone. Whoops. Just take your phone, go on Audible. It's on your phone and you can start to listen to it in 1 minute from now. And just listen to it and listen to it. It's well done. It's done by me, but it's really a work of art because so many people have become rich with this. So many people have become rich with Psychology of Selling. They've gone to the top of their sales force, increased their income 5 and 10 times in a single year. And once you have increased your income that much, you never go back. You never go back. You'll never be satisfied with anything less than that. So let me give you a couple of other points, and then I'll let you go because I'm overstepping my bounds. My welcome.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
We're gonna have to get you to come back, bro. You're gonna have to finish this. You're gonna have to come back, bro. I mean, I'm just telling you, this is good stuff, man. You're nailing it, man.
Okay. All right. Well, I think. No, Andy pays me to talk to you, and he pays me a lot of money for a 1-hour talk, and we're just now approaching 90 minutes. So we're way over that, and Andy's not going to tell anybody. He thinks I don't know that I've gone way over, and that and that I've given you much, much more than we agreed to. But that's probably the best thing, is I will sort of mentally cut it off here. And we'll do this again at your invitation, Andy.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Hey, listen, I'm going to ask you something. This is what you do. You get them in public and ask them something. Can we come see you? Like, do you entertain people with purpose? If I fill up my jet and bring some heroes out there, will you tell us some of this stuff in person?
Well, of course. Or even better, if you can put together a lot of people. It's better that you put the bunch of people together in a single place and I make one trip rather than you and other people coming out here. The cost is a bit outrageous. So let's plan a seminar. Let's plan a half-day seminar And it'll be on success, and we'll go on to, I've got far more material here than we could cover, but let's do a half day if you would like. And you pick a place that's most convenient to the most people, and I'll come down and we'll make it happen. But the other thing,
so excited, bro. I'm so excited, bro. Hey, listen.
Andy, the other thing is this is so simple and so convenient for everybody, because I saw a couple of you going and getting a cup of coffee while I'm talking, and you go to the bathroom and have a cigarette and things like that. That's a pretty nice life. Yeah. So maybe it's better that we just do it on Zoom, because it's so simple, it's so convenient.
No, don't try that. We're gonna do in person. Here's what I'm gonna do. A few of us gonna come see you, and then we're gonna do a half day. We got to plan that. We got to schedule that. But I'm gonna tell you what. Listening to you, I have decided to change everything. I mean, I've been coasting, man. I done did this thing with integrity and got all that money in the bank, got a couple of jets and homes. You have inspired me to quit half-assing it. I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to get the psychology of selling, and I'm going to start listening to it over and over, and I'm going to read this book, and I've ordered the economics in one lesson. I'm tired of piddling around. Anybody else with me on that? Yep. I have had it. I've had it with this satisfaction. I'm doing pretty good. I've talked to Kevin Keats, the basketball coach, on FaceTime. My one jet breaks, and I got another jet to pick me up. I've had it with that. And I'm sitting here looking at G5s. There's G5s out there, and I ain't got one. You with me? I don't have no house in no other country. You with me? My biggest farm's 250 acres. That's a joke. I need a 3,000 or 5,000 acre. I've had it.
Come on, man.
You done inspired me. Anybody else feel the same way?
Let's go.
Terry, more inspired. Imagine if we was in person with this dude.
Oh,
somebody would come out. We'd have a spontaneous combustion.
Well, I've got a whole floor of offices here, and I have meeting facilities for probably 20, 30 people, office facilities with chairs and tables and everything else. But also we could go to a nearby hotel, and that's real simple. Just go in and have them do everything and come back out. Or I can come to you. But coming to you is the easiest, because there's only one person moving. But then again, I don't know. You need to think about it. But I'm really happy for your decision, because every single great leap forward in human history begins with a decision. Is you simply decide that I'm not going to do it the old way. That was then, this is now. Yes, look at that. I see that. Thank you. What is your name, sir? You with the orange shirt and the beard, look like Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders.
Can you see him? Doesn't he look like Colonel Sanders? Sure. What is your name, sir?
They call me Big Mike. I'm Mike Hartley.
Oh, wonderful. My son's name is Michael as well.
Well, he's got a good name.
Yes, it does. Well, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet all of you.
Nice meeting you. What an honor it was to hear you. Got your book right here, brother.
Thank you. Please, none of this is of any value unless you take action on it. And what I have found is not just taking action, but it's the speed at which you take action. So what you do is you take action now, and you just ask yourself, what one thing am I going to do differently as a result of my time with Brian and Andy? What one thing? And you don't have to change the world. You just have to do one thing, and you have to do it now. And what that does is like starting an engine. Run, run, run. Now the engine starts running. Now you do a second thing, and a third thing, and a fourth thing. And then you encourage each other and stimulate each other. And then you start moving. And it's the most amazing darn thing. You'll accomplish extraordinary things. There's Confucius said, a journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step. And what I learned, which I love, was that everything begins with a single step, and you can always see the first step. You can always see the first step. And if you take the first step, the second step will appear. And when you take the second step, yes.
I want to introduce you. So I want you to talk to this man, Brandon Beal. Tell him who you are, Brandon Beal. I think there's unbelievable potential right here. You ought to meet his wife, too. Tell him, Brandon. Tell him who you are.
You already did. There's nothing else to tell him.
Please raise your hand so I know. That's Jim Shark. Are you Brandon?
Yes, sir.
Who's Brandon? Oh, Brandon. There you are. Nice to see you, Brandon.
You too, Brian.
Didn't see your name before.
Quite all right, man. Thank you so much for hopping on with us.
275 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. That's Brandon.
Oh, that is great. That is great.
280.
Wow.
280. 6 foot 280.
That's how much you weigh. That's how much you weigh, Brandon.
Smart.
Yes, sir.
Stand up. Show us, man. Go.
Yeah, give me some skin. Oh, okay, that's great. That's what I want to be like when I grow up.
I want to be like you, so there we go.
That's great. Well,
one step.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your time. Andy and I will talk together about getting together at another time. I'll take some notes to remind me of what we've talked about so that I don't repeat myself very much.
No, you're going to repeat it. And hey, I want them notes. Shoot me them notes. Tell one of your brilliant secretaries or sidekicks to shoot me them notes. I want to distribute them notes.
No,
please,
notes, sir. I'm sorry, Andy, but everything's in my brain, so I don't have it written down anywhere. But I did ask you.
There are the notes right there.
Read goals, read maximum achievement, and read psychology of success selling. Those three. Remember, I've written 91 books, but those three will be like a triangle, and they'll set you up for life. Remember to earn more, you need to learn more. But the fact is that sometimes just one new piece of knowledge combined with your existing knowledge will transform your life and career and transform the lives of many other people who you can influence. So that's good. But I can't type it up for you. You have to have me back again.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you.
Love you so much. Woohoo!
Love you too.
Yeah, baby!
I've got so much more stuff for you. And I want to train with Brandon, but I can't yet. But yeah, wow. Twisted steel and sex appeal. I like that. Jeez, that's good. Okay. Bye-bye, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you, buddy. Love you, buddy.
Love you
All
too.
right. Keep me on, Tia. Keep me on, Tia. Listen, he sells resources. He sells his convention. You understand? I know people get mad at me when I go to meetings and I'll sell books. I'll sell the convention the whole time. They want me to tell them every little thing. Poor people stop and tell them every little thing. Rich people sell them on investing, sell them on coming to our national convention 20 through 23. 40,000 points on trip to come, plus all the top people in the country. You got Belle Krause versus Megan Wood versus Brandon Beal. Where are you going to get that kind of diversity? Where are you going to get that kind of diversity? Let's throw in Kelly Haney. Oh, and let's throw in Mike Leventovich. You with me? Let's throw in Eric Belair. See, the diversity, it goes from little bitty people to really big people. Really, really white. Oh, we need an albino, like really, really white. You know, we got some really, really white people. And then we need some really, really black. We need some really, really red.
I think that's
really,
me.
really green. You with me, huh?
I think I'm the albino.
You're the closest.
We just got to get your tan up in a little bit.
We got the teethies are different. We got the bellies, and then we got the not bellies. You with me? It's just unbelievable. So when you go and when the people, you see what I'm saying? It's selling the big tent. You hear me? Listen to this, guys. I just met with a guy. I picked him up. Actually, first time I met him, I said, first question, Robbie Kraft heard me. I looked at him. I said, hey, what do I got to tell you to get on that jet and fly with me? And he was like, blah, 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 blah. He talking. I said, all right. So you've told me all the excuses. What we got to do to get you on that jet? I need to know what we got to do to get you on the jet. And he told me this guy he took a group of people, about 50 people, and built it to like 200,000 people coming to conventions, and did it in about 3 years. And I said, talk to me, bro. He said, people need to sell one convention and then sell the next convention, sell the next convention. That's how we did it. And so a lot of his guys from Borough Ventures want me to bring him on. We're talking to him and negotiating. I don't know, but here's what I do know. I know how he thinks. You go to the deepest point and you get them to go, and then the people above them want to go. And then we sell them the books and we get them to read the Maximum Achievement, and then do like you listen to Brian Tracy. I'm not kidding you. He changed my life right there. Life-changing decisions were made. Like I literally made decisions. Did you make any decisions?
Yes, sir.
Did you change some whole life decisions? How many people may feel like you made a life-changing decision? 100%, bro. 100%. Davies was typing his lifetime decision while everybody else was raising their hand. See, he was writing it down. He looked down to write it down. We was raising our hand, Davies, if we made a lifetime made decision. Maurice, I know a couple decisions you should have made. You should have made. I don't know if you made them or not. You see how he talks like me? It's so dumb and so simple, but it's crystal clear. You with me? And it's about 10,000 stories around the one point. Bill Britt did it. What's the guy in Charlotte did it, the preacher? Stephen Furtick. What's the guy in Texas did it? T.D. Jakes. What's the other guy? Joel Osteen. Dexter Yeager. Mary Kay Ash. Once a year, they go to home office. But they have to do it week after week after week after week because there's hundreds of thousands of people that have to come in. And then they do the other one at different locations. That's why we're going to move to Vegas or Dallas or wherever. But Vegas is my first pick. Matter of fact, I think we should do a half day with Vegas and Brian Tracy. Don't y'all say that? Half a day with Brian Tracy in Vegas and the other half a day with me. It's going to be crazy, people. We are just getting ready to get started. We got through COVID with success.
True.
We went through the art and we had success. These are two challenging things we've had. Now we've got this compensation strategy. Now we got the war parties. Now we got all this stuff on the arc that Kraft has put together. We got CDS and Integrity's power behind us. What don't we have? What's the one ingredient that we need? I will tell you, I know what it is. It's 100% committed people that have made a decision that we're going to be a team, that we're going to go work together. Some of us say in the name of Chris Long. Some of us say in the name of Jesus. Some of us say in the name of Tim Goat. I say, pick a reason. Teamwork. We work together. That's one guy. Now, I got to tell you this one thing. He thinks that telling somebody what he has a problem with helps the team. We call it spreading negative. The other manager wants to whoop his ass. I said, if you whoop his ass, we're going to have a worse problem. I said, but you do need to tell him, never do that again. No negative. You with me? Teamwork. Football team, basketball team, church. Tim Goody says he gets it all the time in the church. Yeah, this guy, he done got saved. His wife's having sex with him again. And I mean, his whole life, his children straightened up, started, behaving. Well, now he thinks he run the church, Terry. You see what I'm saying? Then we have a church breakup. And because he's saying that preacher don't do some things right. See, when he came there, he was needy. But when he got stuff straightened out, right? Got his braces, got his teeth straightened out and everything. You with me? Then got his teeth straight. You know what I'm saying? Now he know more than the preacher knows. We got to stay positive and be teamwork. You understand? When one person starts breaking out, that's when the football team goes to hell in a handbasket. You with me? That's the one thing we don't have is 100% committed people. And I'm going to find 2 or 3, 5, 7, 12, and we're going to go to 10. We're going to build that 300,000 or 400,000. Does that make sense? We call it get smaller to get bigger. You with me? I love Brian Tracy. I don't care what y'all think. I'm changing my life. All right, I love y'all. Bye-bye. Thank you for plugging in.